Well, we're back from the past, maybe the future. We'll see how it goes out. My name's Infernosis, joined here by Yelk, and so I'm still trying to figure myself out here from that laughing fit from that clip about going to the future. But nonetheless, we have a whole new matchup here for you guys. Really excited about this one. We're going to see whether or not it's going to turn into a one-sided affair like we just saw, or if we're going to see it go a little bit more back and forth. We've got Johnson and Wales. Their blue team, they're seeded 4th against Midland here. And so this is going to be interesting to see whether or not Midland can do what they did last year. If they can replicate, or last semester, if they can replicate that same level of success.
Yeah, I think their division has gotten a little tougher, but last semester they did beat the current #1 seed. They beat Boise State in the final. So this is a team that can hack it with any team in the Gladiators division. They've found themselves at the 5 seed in the playoffs, I believe, which preseason I would have said that's incredibly low, but this division really just has been that tight the entire season long, except for Boise just being the front runners, the undefeated, just the gladiators of the gladiators. But this Midland team, they can definitely take this game off of Johnson and Wales. Johnson and Wales is going to have to play their hearts out to beat them. Midland's got plenty of playoff experience in tournaments, and they've got the experience winning the tournament. So they know how to keep it up in a best of 5 series. Longer games than the regular season, that can sometimes be a factor for teams. Infernosis, what are you looking to see out of this game?
Well, we're starting off in Bazan for our control point, so a Widow. I think that we might need to see one only on one of those. I mean, honestly, I would love to see a Torbjorn as well, just because of the ability to play a Torbjorn on this map is really exceptional. There's a lot of ground that actually covers the point itself on a lot of these what do you call tertiary map choices within the actual map. On my brain right now, I can't think of the actual word because it's still laughing about DeLoreans and time travel. But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's your fault here. You should be the one taking the blame for my flubbing. But Torbjorn actually has a lot of rapid success that can happen on this map. I think that if we do see a Torbjorn, it could be able to find a large amount of impact. And while I make a joke about bringing in a Widowmaker, they're not that viable, except for being outdoors. You have a long sight line, but if teams know not to just walk straight into a Widow sight line, then they aren't going to get shot by a Widow in that case. So, Brawl, Lucio, speed into the point, fight it off, contest it as much as you can, throw one turret down, and then win the game.
I think we're going to go a different route. I think now that we're up into these Gladiators division games, they're going to give us a little more of the meta we haven't seen too much today, and that's the double bubble coupled with an Echo and a Tracer. These DPS that can play those high skill ceiling heroes. I think they're going to start getting active in this game. Shiloh and What? They love to play those two heroes. Not exactly their favorite, their #1 overall picks. Of course, Shiloh loves to play that McCree as well. What is kind of all over the place with his hero picks. Likes to play pretty much just the game of Overwatch. Gets time in on McCree, May, Ash, Tracer, Hanzo, you name it. Just really the flex DPS on this team. On the other side of things, I pretty much see Robe running May every time I've watched Johnson and Wales Blue, and that's a stable pick every single map, it seems like, in the current meta. So I'm looking for Robe to probably lock in on the Ice Queen and make a big impact on this game.
No Torbjorn? Really? Like, you throw out all of that? You want to make a bet on it?
Could totally be Torb.
You want to go for the dollar? Do you want to go to earn back your dollar?
No, because I think there could be Torb. I think you're right. I just don't think that he stays on the entire time. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna switch to other heroes. What are those gonna be?
Okay, then how about this? Let's do another bet. I want you to have a chance to win back your dollar.
Redeem my dollar, or do you want me to have a chance to lose another dollar on a dumb bet?
We're
gonna take the over on 3 environmental kills on this one. 3 people get knocked into the train.
That's a terrible idea. Actually, that is not a good. No, how about this? We'll say we'll bet which team gets play of the game.
That's fair. Okay.
It's just up.
Can we double down if we get the player right?
Yes, you can double down if you get the player right.
Right.
We'll double down. Double or nothing if you get the player as well. So you can name a player, just it's not against you. So.
Okay.
Right, who you picking? I'll pick somebody else.
I'm gonna say Nico gets play of the game for Johnson and Wales.
Okay,
I'm writing this down on my paper. So.
Okay. Write down mine.
I'm not gonna forget Infernosis.
All right. I'm gonna go what? Because I think that a McCree in a May, which we know they like McCree. Shallow's on that right now, but a May also could find impact. So that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say what?
All right. Well, The picks are placed. The teams have rolled out of spawn. Shiloh almost died immediately, but Maywall buys some time. The brawl rolls in. Noro goes awfully low, but Sky's Immortality Field bails them out. It's quickly taken care of by Shinobu, who kicks off on this off angle. I love this little mid flank they go on. Falcon able to hammer down Noro. The front line starting to fall. What goes down to Robe as well on that melee like we talked about, landing that headshot. Icicle clearly has plenty of hours on that hero.
Yeah, this is a bad position you want to be in. Forced now to take a step back and ultimately forced to take more than one step. You're going to have to go all the way back to your own spawn. Not looking hot. Midland forced out of contention in that initial fight. Now you're going to have a regroup come through. Sky trying to just run away. It looks like Falcon's looking to punish off. An Immortality Field will be dropped, but Falcon's punished by Chatter instead. And now they're looking to go for Noro's a little bit damaged in the process. They'll drop a garage door down with a high noon in the process, but Lermans and Nico find their own kills. Sky and Sertle, it's the Baptiste finding two as well. But it's just going back and forth in the feed. It's red and blue consistently throughout. No one side really taking a big W besides the already team that's up in a W. JWU blue, which kind of, I guess, matches the fact that they are blue on this side.
Yeah, that was a crazy fight. It went the distance. That's kind of how I expect this game to go. You really couldn't tell what side was ahead at any given moment in that fight, and then the spawn started to come back. Falcon was able to put up the front line again, and they were just able to stabilize. But Johnson and Wells, they've still got ultimates to hold this point, and on the side of Midland, they've got nothing in the bank.
Falcon goes for a shatter, but it's not going to matter. Shinobu finds two with a high noon onto Executi and Shiloh, and Falcon will continue to clean up, finding what? And this fight relegated out. Just the last two players really trying to stay alive, but it's not going to matter. Noro felled by Shinobu, giving themselves a little bit more ult charge as Falcon finds a fire strike to Chatter. And Nico finds Sky. Another regroup has to come through, but time is not on their side. A 70, now about 80% to 0 differential in the score. Round one not looking hot right now for this Midland side.
They've got some ultimates coming online though, and some heavy hitters at that. Noro can make a big play with this Shatter. As long as he can just evade Falcon's shield, the Demon Bomb comes in over top. That's going to split up Johnson and Wales now. They're in a little bit of an awkward position, but Robe maybe bails them out with an early pick on the Shiloh. It looks like so far it could be more than enough. Graviton Surge comes through the window, gets thrown up from Sky, but it's not going to be enough damage or healing as they start to go down one by one. And a 99-0 first round for Johnson and Wales.
Well, I'm not liking the fact that Nico just managed to find two and a heavy grab that managed to end up with him finding five. So that doesn't necessarily bode well for my individual wallet, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, a phenomenal round right there. I mean, JWU, they really must like this blue team. I mean, they're obviously the JWU blue squad, so maybe it's just the fact that they're blue and blue, die. They really like themselves that, color and try to work with it. But Midland just haven't found an answer. They haven't been able to touch the control point for any extended period of time. Shiloh gets picked off first almost every single time. What is very quick to follow, and I just don't know what they're going to have to do to change things out. That name is so confusing.
Oh yeah, it is a very confusing name. I've cast it in plenty of times to know that. I think they've got a good look right now. Shiloh on the Symmetra is a bit of a funny take. It does go over to the McCree. That makes a lot more sense. Just the CP to get them some extra speed out of spawn. And they will have a positional advantage going into this first fight. But Maywalls are out, and it's already looking dicey for both Reinhardts.
A push does come through. Falcon as Nico finds a kill onto Noro. Frontline now relegated out as Midland kind of have to find an answer, but it's not going to be found anytime soon. Nico collects another kill onto Shiloh. And as Chatter attempts to run away, Falcon will charge themselves ever closer, but Shinobu will find the kill. Midland have not found any answers whatsoever, and JWU will find themselves yet another point taken. And now they're going to let that climb ever higher, and Midland have to find an answer to it, because if they don't, then this map one of control point is going to go exceedingly in JWU's favor.
They're going to engage early with the first Maywall. That's going to get the front line in, but they've left Shiloh behind. The Shatter, however, lands. Shiloh looks like he will get cleaned up here by Shinobu, but it is Falcon holding down the front line, trying to make a difference before going down to Noro. He just completely ignored that Baptiste window. Nico does find two in the feed. Robe finds two as well. This team's not done. They look to be winning this fight, and they continue the defensive hold despite an onslaught from Midland.
That's insane. I mean, it's glorious in every account. JWU have just won every fight in such a manner that it doesn't seem like they'll initially do it. They lost Falcon early on, but it doesn't matter. Garage door goes down from Sertle, pushing in. NECC finding two. Some phenomenal plays there, and then Robe finding two of their own. Here comes a grab from Chatter, traded out by NECC. A Blizzard also comes from Robe, and what doesn't have theirs available to counter. Falcon finds a charge to get 2 kills in 1, cleaning up with a third and a fourth. Play of the game, possibly. It'll be your team, but it won't be the player. Midland have to even take an L. They'll dive into the water. Chatter just to get back a little bit quicker, but it does not look like Midland's going to have another fight beyond this next one to actually try and contest and take the point again.
This is looking so clean from Johnson and Will. So well prepared for this game. They know where all of the May walls are going to go. They know how to act in every situation, going up against the Graviton Surge, going against all of these ultimates we've seen so far. Avalon Creed does pop the high noon, tries to schedule an appointment for a multi-kill here at noon, but it's just going to be 1 kill apiece. NECC and what both go down. Big shatter from Noro, and he's got a pin through Falcon. Chatter finds the kill on the Shinobu as well. They've got the high ground. Can they take control? 3% left here. It looks like they'll get onto the point just in the nick of time, but Infernosis, the point finally flips. We've got some percentage for Midland.
Absolutely. They're going to get themselves already 10% more than they got in the last round, and they'll have to hold on to this continuously to fight for it. Already we see JWU stepping in, a shadow connection to Falcon, and actually kills Shiloh, and they'll trade a charge into each other as NECC connects on Noro. Blizzard does come through, and already JWU have retaken the point. Chatter will find one of the Lermans and he executes Falcon. But this point not boding well. An Immortality Field dropped, and it looks like a grab will be thrown out by Chatter as well, but it's not going to find too much impact beyond an initial helping kill onto NECC. Chatter comes in to find Robe. It looks like we'll see Midland be able to find a retake, but they lost the points. That was about 10 to 15% extra they could have had on top of it, and they narrowly escaped losing out this round.
Yeah, that was so close. They didn't expect to have to fight so hard just after flipping that point, and they had to work so hard just to get it back. Not many ultimates expended that fight. We've seen that we've got the DPS ones coming online for Johnson and Wales. So far, the standout player in this game to me has either been Robe or Shinobu. They seem to be playing lights out together, just making this brawl have so much damage impact. Shiloh able to kill Falcon, though. Shinobu does go down to Execute, and it looks like the defense will continue here, because once you get set up, these chokes are nightmares. I mean, the May just provides so much value with these walls, and they take up everything.
May is such a phenomenal hero in this game. I mean, they're basically a secondary tank. There was that April Fool's joke, right? Where they changed May and put them into the support lineup. It really does feel like that. Those walls are just an extra layer of help. They can cut off, they can block shots. She can bolt up inside of an icicle and, you know, take a lot of damage. But here comes a garage door. It's going to be a grab from NECC, however, and a Blizzard as well. Immortality Field down. Noro connects. Shatter finding so much impact, but no one there to act up because they're frozen out. Robe and NECC finding themselves 3 apiece. Well, not apiece, but 3 in total as Falcon charges out Chatter. Noro, seemingly one of the last standing, tries to stay into it, but it's not going to matter what. We'll be asking what went wrong as JWU will retake the objective and ultimately win out here on the Zon.
It's going to have them going up 1-0. Insane last flip on that fight. Ultimates just couldn't come online quick enough for Midland. You saw they got used just as the round was ending. They were just really trying to grind out that ult charge, but in the end, not quite fast enough. We will have Robe getting the play of the game. Neither of us bet on this player, but I did bet on Johnson and Wales. I don't know though, this Blizzard, it looked like it was all the work of NECC's grab. I'll just say it.
You're trying to give it. No, we'll break it even. We'll go double or nothing again on the next one. How about that? We'll keep
That's
it
fair.
going.
We're evened up at $1 a piece anyway. I mean, this is high
it's
stakes.
even. We're nil at this point. It's just 0 at this point. So we're gonna see who comes out on top here for the thing overall. But this is just gonna be every time me and Yelk now cast together. It's just gonna be betting. It's just like
$1 bets.
Yeah, $1 bets. It's just we're just gonna go all in on
a McDonald's Sprite any size that NECC gets play of the game next map.
Yeah, I bet you anything. Yelk's the kind of guy that when you say, I was like, oh, I'll take a Sprite, they get you the small on purpose, despite the large being the same price. Yelk's the kind of guy to show up. No, he's not that petty. He's passive aggressive. He'll get you a medium. Full knowing.
The bulk value. I go for the large. It's $1 any size. I'm gonna have some left over, or I'm gonna be a fiend and drink it all on the way home. But yeah, of course, I'm getting as much bang for my buck as I can get.
You the kind of guy that just chugs your entire drink by the time you get home? So, like, when you go out and get food, like if you go out and get food, do you
I don't want to bring a cup in that has stuff left in it. If I went out and I got a drink, I want to finish the drink before I get back. if it's like fast food. That being said, I've never gotten like the big gulp. I've never been walking around with a cup the size of my head, just getting looks from people. But I will finish pretty much anything I get from a restaurant before I get home. No
Hmm.
leftovers.
No leftovers. Well, glad to know you don't waste anything, but a little bit of a wasted potential, I'd say, I saw from Midland. I saw a lot of positive things. They really attempted there in that second round to try and make that comeback, and it got pretty darn close. But when JWU was able to get their ultimates on lock, they completely devastated their opponent. There was nothing that could be done. The Blizzard and Grav combination, we saw an Immortality Field was dropped. It just wasn't enough to save. We saw Nora go for the Shatter, and it connected. But when everyone else on your team is frozen out, there's no one there for you to deal damage and finish off those players that are, actually concussed and down on the ground. So ultimately, the Shatter leads to a high statistic because it's, their Shatter stun, but at the same time, it doesn't lead to a statistic in that top right of your screen for that kill feed, and it's going to be JW who wins that fight 9 times out of 10. They're going to take map 1 now in a 1-0 fashion. We're going to have to see how this next one works out.
Yeah, and I think as the losers do get map picks here in the playoffs, Midland just has to look to pick around May maps. I mean, May is good pretty much all the time, but that Busan map is a prime example of just how good May is. Those chokes are tailor-made for May walls, and I think they've got to pick maps where there's a little more open space because, honestly, Robe was just a big crux in that team. That May wall was getting them free picks almost every fight. They didn't have to use ultimates to get it, so pick maps that are a little more open, and I think Midland looks a lot better in this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I think they're banning out, JWU's banning out new bodies. We're not going to see that come through. And they also didn't understand how it works.
That's a dive map. That's a good ban from the May team.
They didn't necessarily know how it worked, so we've had to work with them. That's why it's taking a little bit longer to get into this next map. They're in a lot of tournaments, so it does make sense that, they don't know everything verbatim. But ultimately, then Midlink would have the opportunity now as the ban has come through. They get to pick their map of choice. Kings Row, I mean, it's been the third time I've seen Kings Row today. I'd love to continue to see it. Kings Row is just such a fun map. Yes, Scrims Row. I mean, that is exactly where you want to be. There's a reason why people like the map. It's just the quintessential Overwatch map.
Is it quintessential if you know you're going to be going up against Robe on May if you pick that map? It doesn't sound as fun now.
Yeah, maybe not. maybe not. I mean, honestly, yeah, they pick King Row. They're going to pick King's Row as well. So we aren't going to see it once again. We're going to have to see. They picked You've Chosen Death. Just like full sin. It's like the thumbs up, and it slowly comes the thumbs down. We're going to have to see whether or not that's really true. Is JWU going to give them the final turn downwards, or will they ultimately be felled by Midland's aggression? I think that Midland has a lot they can work on. I think tight confirmed spaces for them just wasn't what they wanted. And when things were a little bit too wide, then they kind of got stuck into a funnel. They only attacked the same direction every time on round 1, and they were felled because of it. So Kings Row, a little bit more viability, a little bit more strategy. You can go over the top of the statue. You can walk next to the statue. You can walk on the other side of the statue. There's a lot of different things you can do for Kings Row.
Can you go anywhere else? Wait a minute.
You can walk. It's crazy in this game, right?
There's a high ground you can take too. I love just going all the way to the right as attackers, like right out of spawn. Just go to the right. Any chance you get to take a right turn, and you end up on a high ground, just perfectly overlooking the point. It's great.
Not enough teams use that, quite honestly.
No, everyone just runs straight at the Alderworth Hotel and just goes, we're going to probably trade main tanks and just go from here.
Yeah, I remember one specifically that I had the pleasure of casting earlier today where there was a McCree who went up on top of the high ground. He got 1 kill, and then the other team apparently didn't like that, so they just chunked a Diva Bomb at him.
Poor guy.
Just yeeted it off into the distance, and it found the kill. It was interesting, to say the least, but it seemed a little excessive. It almost seemed like cyberbullying at that point. Just like, hey, we don't like you. Just toss it out there. I mean, that was hilarious to watch. It's like, okay, well, Diva Bomb finds one guy, targeted only one guy, so it found its impact. That's your impactful kill. It didn't matter for them, though. They still got the point taken, but,
The only time that high ground gets used. I swear it never happens, but another game that happened today, while we're just talking about Kings Row pathing, someone put a Sim TP on top of the statue, and then a Bastion. That's just a knucklehead strategy. That is the most terrifying thing, and honestly very easy to deal with on defense, but if you just look at it and it gets in your head, it's so intimidating just staring down that rain of lead coming at you. I was surprised to see it in a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, I had the pleasure of casting that one as well. Everything's happening in my matches today, apparently. That might be because I'm casting quite a few of them. Same as you. I think we're both casting, 3 today total? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few. But, I mean, that was a fun one to watch. We got to see so much success. The Bastion didn't switch off until literally the 3rd point because they didn't die. They just were uncontested. They didn't have to worry about it. They just continued to keep going forward, just holding W and occasionally pressing shift and then holding left click. I mean, it's really what Bastion comes down to.
Man.
Move the mouse slightly, you know?
That does not sound fun.
I play Bastion. It's fun.
I don't think I've played 3 consecutive points of King's Row in a game against a Bastion since, like, Diva could kill herself with her self-destruct. It's been a while.
What about when Bastion was buffed so that they were 0 recoil?
Zero recoil and had crits?
Yeah.
And had insane self-heal?
Yes.
I probably did play against a Bastion 3 points then, because I played against a Bastion every point for a week and a half on that.
That was when Bastion was king. I single-handedly climbed like 600 elo.
Oh yeah, I had friends do that too. Playing this hero for a week. Gotta get my
here until this is patched. We're not going to see initially the Symmetry to come through, so unfortunately not going to happen, but we aren't going to see a Sigma come out as well, so a Gravitic Flux will have to come through at some point in time, but this Brawler on the statue will have to drop out first. Noah taking a lot of damage, but it'll be What who finds the first kill. An Immortality Field dropped by Sky, immediately taken out, and the opposing team has not done a good enough job at moving it as well. It'll be Nico who does it instead, and they're heading up to the high ground. Yeah,
Midland doing a very good job just not taking too much damage right now. This isn't what we saw on the last round, but I've just been keeping an eye on their health bars this entire time, and it seems like they're playing around Noro and Chatter very well. This second shield is doing exactly what they want it to. It's blocking all the damage coming through from Rome and Shinobu. Rome is not one of those mazes that we've seen go up and freeze a bunch of people. More one of those mazes that just hits insane critical hits with icicles, and this Sigma is denying that.
Absolutely, we're already going to see what have Blizzard available with the Baptiste window as well. Good combo with the Shatter. Window does go out. They'll trade window for window, and a Maywall will go. Noro connects the Shatter, but not in time. Gravitic Flux yoinks him into the air and slams him down, dealing a lot of damage in the process, and they'll clean up in the fact. What finds 2. Shatter gets up and it just hits him with a giant brick robe to the side of the head. A phenomenal way to finish that one off. Midland coming out strong here, swinging.
Yeah, and swinging indeed. Midland is going to win that fight 10 times out of 10 using 4 ultimates, only getting out Sertal's Baptiste window. So not a very good alt economy trade for them. I'm sure Johnson and Wales are looking to steamroll this next fight with a barrage of ultimates, starting off with the High Noon. Apparently, doesn't know what time it is. Noro goes down to Nico, also takes down the Immortality Field from Sky. What does go down to Lerman, stepping up, getting aggressive, finding a kill in the feed from the support line. And now it's Johnson and Wales doing exactly what we thought they would. They had the ultimates, and they've still sat on them for the most part. They're going to take this point and keep all of the tempo in Hypnosis.
That grab that Nico had will be denied. A Shatter only able to find impact into Chatter. The names will make them rhyme throughout, but Noro stunned out, removed out, and now it's going to be JWU taking control. And, well, I do want to say JWU Blue, because that is their name. They're now JWU Red in their own way, and they'll manage to take it pretty quickly. About 4 minutes on the clock for them to make their way forward and continue to, get these objectives done. This street phase, quite difficult. A lot of elbows that the initial fight has to come through, but defense has a long way they got to spawn to get there, and the farther the attack gets, the longer they have to run as well. You can really snowball when it comes to the streets phase of King's Row.
You really can, but I think Midland has the answers to put a stop to it. Chatter already has this flux again. Nobody thought it was going to be online so fast. Noro does go down in the front line. Sertal able to make quick work of them, and in the feed, it's just all Johnson and Wills. This attack is not going to stop here. Falcon has the only ultimate online right now for them, but Shinobu is also coming up pretty close to that High Noon for next fight.
Yeah, that is insane. I mean, you see that ult come through. We saw Lerman saving the day with dropping the beat and keeping the health up, and then Robe just tossing the Blizzard out. What is Midland supposed to do? They really can't do anything against that. They got absolutely just caught off guard. There's nothing they could go beyond that, but they'll drop a garage door pretty aggressively, now walled off, basically making it almost useless, but Shiloh will take use of that small corner, now able to rotate to a full size. They'll find Lermans pretty quickly off and follow suit with a fire strike into Sertal. Noro connects, and Sky finds a kill onto Robe. They'll find 3 pretty early on, and they're looking to maybe contest earlier. But this payload's a little bit behind them. They're going to find at this initial corner instead, hoping to maybe get an earlier pick to maybe force JWU to wait out their next assault.
Yeah, and Midland doing a good job that fight, getting ultimates back online. Alt economy looks way more evened out now. I think they're in a great spot. What having this Blizzard is going to be crucial for them. That really can take out all the momentum. They just have to wait for NECC to use those bubbles so everyone can actually freeze in place. Shinobu pops the high noon, hard shielded by the Reinhardt. The Blizzard does come in, tries to freeze up a couple, but does not. Shatter for Falcon lands, stunning 4. Shinobu takes down the immortality field, so Rogue is able to take down Executi, and now Falcon finds 2 in this corner, trapped, and no escape. Noro and what both go down. And this should be the second point finished off, but a good high ground contest from Chatter, just to off angle, deal some damage, maybe find a pick, but it seems like Johnson and Wales have done more than enough to cap this one. 3:20 on the clock, going into our last phase of King's Row.
Plenty of time to work with, but this one is the most difficult, this factory stage. It's going to be difficult for them to get around these 2 bins, the spawns being a little bit quicker, and this brawl going to be exceedingly heavy. It's going to be an ult economy kind of matchup, but with NECC and Robe, 2 ultimates in pocket, you've got a Blizzard, you've got the ability to drop out the Graph. Sky will opt to bring the garage door walled again. Robe has done a phenomenal job of consistently walling that off, and you're going to see this JWU side take a step back, not wanting to fight anywhere near, and we may see the grab come through. It connects, finding 3 inside. Gravitic Flux to yoink him up and to slam him down, finding a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be enough. One player taking a drink as what? We'll have to say what just happened from Lerman's boop. And the red team, JWU, looking hot under the feed. Shinobu cleaning up a few more off the end, and NECC getting aggressive up front, punishing Midland on this snowball. They only have a few more meters to go to completely end this one off.
They did get a massive kill on the Falcon, who's just getting back to the payload now. The front line from Midland did beat him to the action, and they've got to start making a difference. What has gone down has to come out of spawn. No Maywall in play for Midland. Instead, there's an Ant Matrix right in their face, and NECC starts to deal an immense amount of damage on an off angle, enough to certainly take down Noro. What is back in the mix? Maybe has a chance, able to take down NECC as well, has the Blizzard online, able to wall off the front line. The defense still making a stand, they've still got some life. The B-drop committed to try and keep them all supported, but Infernosis, I don't know if it's enough.
That Blizzard was so unbelievably clutch coming from what? That might have single-handedly saved them, while the beat drop may have kept them alive for a little bit longer. What? Face checked the opposing player and managed to have some support to finish off Lermans. They couldn't fight back during that few seconds of being frozen solid, and it was ultimately what gave them that fight. Now with only a minute and a half on the board, not much space to go between the payload and the current end. But it's going to be a difficult fight. You've got to deal with the Gravitic Flux. You've got to deal with the High Noon. You may have a Shatter to connect, but if you can't get past the Maywalls, it'll be a little bit difficult. Shiloh finding Lermans, guaranteeing no more speed, but Shatter finds NECC. Noro connects to Robe, and now JWU have to take another step back and regroup before their next push.
And Chatter, after using that Flux too, landed up on that high ground, a devastating angle to find an enemy Sigma, doing a ton of work throughout that fight. And they comboed that Sigma Flux with Shiloh's High Noon wonderfully. There's really nothing in the way to block that High Noon. Shiloh able to land a very easy kill to get them through that fight, but now these ultimates are online and they're bound to be used.
Is seemingly probably the last push. May have a little bit more time. A shadow will come through from Falcon. It'll be saved as they'll drop in and drop the beats, but a Blizzard and of course NECC's grab will make it a one-sided affair as the last one up front executing fell. It's just this backline 3 players. Sky will be taken out, and it's looking like Shadow will be the one to go next, and Shiloh fell to finish it off. No chance of the return. A High Noon pop just as a preemptive victory speech. The last words the opposing side of Midland would hear before being taken all the way to the end is it's High Noon.
And they did a great job right there. After that Earth Shatter, a little last-minute construction from Robe, put up that wall, and that was enough to just wall off the healing, get those kills confirmed, and they're able to finish the map barely with any time on the clock. 13 seconds is where they stand, but that is enough to get them a crack at overtime if, of course, Midland is able to capture 3 points. I don't know. Infernosis, this is a different look from Midland. I like Chatter on this Sigma a lot more than the previous map we saw them playing different off tanks. I don't know. How do you feel? Chatter on Sigma? This isn't a pick that's often seen in the meta today.
Well, I'm a big fan of Gravitic Flux, honestly. And it's sad to say that, you know, Sigma isn't as popular. Because saying Gravitic Flux is probably one of the most fun things you can say as a caster. So it kind of stinks to not have that one. So while that does hurt, I have to agree with you. I don't think Sigma is meta for a reason. I think that they've kind of fallen out because this brawl is a little bit more competent. I do like having that extra shield, but it makes more sense for a map like Dorado or Hollywood. It makes more sense in that type of sense. It just doesn't make much sense anywhere else. And you have to worry about that when it comes to facing off in that direction. You just don't have what it takes. You have to play what's meta, and that's an unfortunate happenstance when it comes to Overwatch. You have to play what's right.
Chatter did reach their peak at 44-74 playing Sigma a few seasons ago, so that is clearly a notable comfort pick for that off tank. Knows how to play with a Reinhardt, knows how to play with a rushdown sitting back, and we can see already the Maywall thrown up from what, and this attack is aggressive. They've got to be careful. The Noro does get frozen, but able to stay alive as they peel back beyond this hotel wall. Still in a tough spot though, as Noro goes for a road trip, pin connects on Robe, and that is a window for the attackers. They've got plenty of space to move in now. No Reinhardt, no May, no McCree, nothing left standing to stop this front line. And Noro just goes all the way into the streak phase, continuing to oppress this defense.
Now, it hurts to say this, but we haven't actually named who we think is going to get play of the game.
You're right. Is it too late?
No, I think we have to change it. Maybe not who gets play of the game then. Maybe let's go with who has the most impactful ults. Consistently. And that'll be like, well, we may have to ask a third choice. We have to have somebody else.
I don't know if we can get judges involved. I think we bet on who gets the stat card all the way on the right at the end of the game.
All the way on the right. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
All the way on the right.
I'm gonna say executing, and it's gonna be for healing down, or for, you know, drop the beat saving, or like, you know, over healing.
I'm going to say it's got to be Sertal for Immortality Field Depths Prevented, but Sky is making a case for themselves right now to get that card as they're able to keep up not just one, but two members of Midland University to keep them through that fight. And this is a very competitive time bank, 4 minutes, 50 seconds. Johnson and Wales, they've got to come up with a stop here pretty soon. Robe does have that ultimate Nico with the Graviton Surge as well. That should be more than enough to put a stop to it, but Chatter, he's a master on this Sigma. I would not be surprised to see a Flux be the play that wins this fight.
Absolutely. You're going to have to worry so much about that going forward. You're going to drop your own garage door, sort of looking to increase the damage. It's going to be a grab coming out from Nico. They now need a little bit more support as Falcon will charge in, but he Immortality Field to save a couple of lives, but out of time. Sertal finds Executi. Flux finding Falcon, and they'll slam down a couple more. But now this blizzard coming out from Rogue has been felled in the process. They're going to be able to stop it, just stop the bleeding ever so slightly because Nico finds 3. With Lermans on the Lucio finding themselves onto Noro. This is a very competitive match we've had right now, but it is back and forth, neck and neck, and they finally were able to stop Midland's just uncontested bridled force.
Yeah, and they took a lot of ultimates off as well. Chatter came in with a late Flux. Wasn't exactly late because it did find some value onto Falcon, but Chatter was not in a very good spot to survive that ultimate, and that's maybe why the mistake was made. But now they pushed right back in, just choosing to aggress. Shinobu, though, has an appointment at 12 noon for a 2K, finds both supports, Sky and Executi, and the defense should be able to just do enough damage to withstand this, but the Shatters have to trade out. Falcon didn't want to commit his, but Noro's was so big onto the backline that Falcon had to send that.
Absolutely, and it's so unfortunate now as they're continuing to hit that snowball. Shiloh's able to find one in a row before having to take that step around the quintessential corner, but now you can have maybe a one-spawn advantage. They'll maybe a little bit slower to come back, but your side is also as slow as them. So Midland kind of have to think things through. They're going to have to wait it out, wait for Chatter, who's a little bit slower on that Sigma, to make their way back. And Now you can have your chance to speed boost your way through. Sky taking a fire strike early on in the fight will make it difficult, so you have to kill that one back out. But they'll drop the window as well. Window for window. Fight going forward. A Blizzard drop at a high noon from Shiloh. Will be able to find impact if they were just in front of him, but they're not. Now forced to take a step back 2 meters away from this point, and it's looking like they're going to get it. They're not going to contest it in time. They find it with 0.85 meters, but it's still Midland in the feed as Noro finds 2 more, and Nico and Lerman's a fire strike to Sorrel. She'll be out for the count and not allowed to escape any longer. 4 minutes are just short to push it all the way back through. This is a better time bank than JWU had on theirs.
Yeah, and I saw this in the game that I casted earlier, Concordia, Wisconsin. They lost the first map and then immediately went on to Kings Row, same exact situation. Had a fantastic first hold and then put up a massive time bank and held the momentum from that point on. That's exactly what Midland is looking to do, and they look in top form here, but the defenders shut them down with an insane amount of ultimates. The grab and the May ultimate, more than enough to get him through that fight. Chatter looked like he was going to have a very dangerous flux, but in the end it wasn't enough. The grab Blizzard is an insanely deadly combo at this level.
Man, it's insane to see May be so confident on a team for both sides. I mean, it's crazy to think that May, who a lot of people initially believed just to be a tormentor, not really that enjoyable as a player, is insane to see go through. But a Shatter
oh my god,
a large level of impact, but they'll continue the reign as Shinobu finds plenty as they're in the back line, not being paid attention to. But Noro still trying to keep the front line alive as Lermans finds Noro, just denying that one once more. They're able to get it around this second bend, but time is still on their side, and JWU have to find a statistical answer against this anomaly.
We had a great look at that fight. Shinobu just going around on that flank, being so sneaky, and then had a perfect line of sight onto Falcon Shatter. Didn't choose to pop the high noon, in fact still has that ultimate. Chooses to use it now as the most opportune time. Stays on the trigger, finds 2. This McCree knows how to get the most out of that kit. Chatter and Executed both go down. Infernosis, Shinobu is just the man to be reckoned with in this lobby, I think.
Absolutely, and we saw a high noon that could have been impactful from Shiloh, but it was denied because What actually put up a wall instead. Well, they'll save it, finding a Blizzard kill, and will be felled shortly after by Nico, but Shiloh finds Lermans, and Nico's not to be outdone. Finding onto Executing as Shinobu and Sturtle. They'll clean up a few more, and it's just going to be another regroup that has to be made from Midland. They're running out of time now. They'll have about 3, maybe 4 pushes if they can get them done quickly and securely. But they have to make it all the way if they don't want to be 2-0 at this time.
It's going to be a very tricky last couple of pushes here because the ultimates still have to be built up a bit. Chatter chooses to use this flux early, and What able to icicle down Shinobu. Sturtle falls as well. Chatter choosing to take the high ground. I love where this guy lands after he fluxes. Has insane lines of sight after getting up on that high ground. Has a shield he can use as well. Fantastic Sigma play we've seen, and such a wrench you're throwing in the current meta. No one is prepared to play against a comp like this.
Absolutely, and what a great way to go off of that. The Sigma up top, I mean, they bait out the Blizzard. They baited out the one thing that was just wrecking them continuously, and it was that Blizzard combo with Shatter, with Bomb, with Grab, whatever you want to have with it. They have been so scared of that because it's been so successful. They bait it out. They get rid of it, and they just wait on the edges. You could see it. I had a perfect point of view, at least on my end. They're all just sitting on the outside circle, biding their time till it's gone, but that front line just went straight through it, did not care, and they capitalized off of it, and it was devastating to watch. Midland taking it in a phenomenal fashion. They're going to have a minute and 59. Meanwhile, JWU is only going to have a minute. And if you remember correctly here, Yelk, Midland took this without having to stop a single second.
Yeah, they really did not have any trouble their first take, so overtime looks like it could favor them. They're definitely very well versed on this first point. Nico switching over to the Sigma, a little nod to Chatter doing such a great job himself. And if they're going to run these mirror comps with the McCree, with the May, whatever off take is doing the most work denying damage, I think that's the one you have to play, and Nico is just going to opt to that Sigma pick as well. A very interesting way things are shaking out here on Kings Row.
Maybe they're just scared of the gravitic fluxes. Maybe that's what it is. But I'll tell you what I'm very scared of. It's fire strikes. Noro already at 22% as they connected into 3 people with that. And now you're sitting pretty with a little bit more of a defensive hold. You'll be able to find 2. Sertal and Shinobu right for the count as Chatter and what find it. Executing Nico. And they're now trying to capitalize on the last few, charging to escape. And oh, narrowly avoiding so. Noro looking to try and punish, but it'll be Shiloh who finds 2 instead. And they're now going to take a step back, but Midland is looking phenomenal at this point in time.
That was such a great job just stepping up and being aggressive. Shiloh just not overstepping their bounds too far. You saw how far those tanks went, but Shiloh kind of had it reined in, stayed a little more in his back line despite how far up they were pushed. And now they're just going to use this Maywall, try and find another pick, working their way in. Maywall's bolt expended. Immortality Field had to be used by Midland to keep a couple of members alive that were looking in dire straits. And now it's just more Reinhardt's clashing on the point. Put away the China. The boys are at it again. A big slam from Nico, and no one can make it to the point. Not from Nico, sorry, from Nora.
Yeah, I mean, how are you supposed to make it to the point when you're lying down on the ground having just got concussed by your giant 7-foot-tall dude with a hammer? I mean, really and truly.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, it's nobody's fault. Noro connects. They charge their ultimate so exceptionally well. Like I said, 22% in the first 2 seconds of the round off of a fire strike that hit 3 or 4 players. That is nasty. And they were able to find such high level of impact, such high level of play. There's nothing else I can say besides, sheesh, that's nastier.
Oh my god, don't do that. Don't do that. No,
what can I say?
Right,
JWU down bad. How many, like, can I bring out more, like, lingo
Stop,
of the
you're
day?
using the meta slang right now, and I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, Midland looked like a completely different team. This is actually the tank line that they won the finals on last semester, so they're very well versed on this. It's not like they're throwing out some crazy new strat that they didn't practice before. This is pretty much what they ran for months on end in the fall, and it seems to be in a pretty strong place right now with just a different look on support, and they've adapted very well to the current lineup on supports, and they're doing the thing on tank where they can't seem to be stopped.
Yeah, what can you do against it? Honestly, there's a lot of answers that had to be had. I think one thing we're going to be saying is what on this Widowmaker, maybe hoping for a first pick. They weren't able to find it, so they're going to switch off right back to that May. Nothing too shocking, quite honestly, but Midland, who is unstoppable when it came to taking this first point, will have another jab at it, trying to now successfully make it so it's a 1-1 scoreline, now making it so you have to play 4 maps. But they're going to continue this reign, executing, finding Shinobu, now trying to punish, as they're going to see what barely able to not freeze out Falcon, but they're looking to punish off or forcing them off the objective. Swings have to come through. The May will be able to deny for just a second longer, but they don't even have to make it all the way. They just need one pip. Noro finding Falcon. A devastating kill at the start as Chatter finds Lermans. This might be the end-all be-all. That's going to be it. Midland cannot be stopped on that first control for King's Row. I can tell who's been scrimming more on this Scrims Row map.
Yeah, that was a crazy round we just saw from them. Play of the game, Nico, my pick from last map. Oh well, sometimes you're just a little late, and that's okay. Coming in on the bookstore corner with a big Graviton Surge that splits off Noro, and we've seen them do that a couple of times where they will just isolate one target in the grab, even if there's multiple people in it. Like right there, we saw everyone was in that, but the Maywall split off Noro in a way that there was no way they could have survived that fight.
Yeah, neither of us got it right, and I think for good reason, because I don't think either of us anticipated that Chatter was going to get 22,000 hero damage done.
No, insane performance on Sigma, especially on King's Row, where every off-tank goes either Zarya or D.Va. No one is flexing onto Sigma these days. Chatter, easily the player of that last map.
Absolutely, and while we do see it go into that 1-1 fashion, we're going to have to see how this continues to go forward, but we'll be taking a short little break in between Map 2 and Map 3. We'll catch you guys real soon after that one. My name's Infernosis, joined here by Yelk. This has been a phenomenal match between JWU Blue and Midland. We'll see you guys for Map 3.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
All right, welcome back, chat. Map 3 about to be underway. This one is all tied up. Infernosis, is it not? Is it not one apiece?
It is, in fact, one apiece. It absolutely is.
Insane swing back from Midland on Kings Row, and that is often the case. Control really does not tell an accurate tale of how the rest of the match is going to go. That game mode is just so far different than the rest of them. We're going to be moving on to 2CP next. Hanamura, in fact, the map choice of Johnson and Wales, but Midland look to be in pretty good form defending. They've answered Robe on the May, with Chatter switching over to Sigma, and I think that's the most notable switch in the match we've seen so far.
Absolutely. I think that the fact that we've seen Sigma, who's kind of out of meta, like we've been talking about, find such a high level of impact is nutty, I guess. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. It's so cool to see things like that happen, but well, I don't necessarily know if Sigma's as strong when it comes to Hanamura. Maybe on second point, you can argue that. It does take up quite a spacious zone, so you can maybe argue to go for it. But on first, on Bell, maybe not for that first control point. You just need to get through the doors. This is where old school Roadhog was really nice because he could burn shields really, really easily. Not so much anymore. Yeah, not so much anymore. Still somewhat okay about it, but at this point in time, it's still anyone's game. Hanamura is a very difficult map to even get past that first arc. It's going to be a toss-up. I definitely think that both sides have a good chance, especially after seeing Midland take Kings Row in such a great fashion, and the fact that JWU took map 1 Bazan in such a great fashion. It's really lopsided. It's anyone's game.
Yeah, and Midland is going to remain the defending team to start off this map. That was the case with Kings Row as well. Proved to give them a little bit of an advantage, I believe, and I think it could prove true the rest of this match. I would be very shocked to see Chatter switch off of anything but Sigma. I just took another look at their profile, peaked again at 44-74 on that hero, back when Sigma was stronger. Just flat out, every aspect of the kit was stronger. Has lost a few hundred SR, but I think that is still their best hero. They've adapted to the meta. Their profile look like they do flex around and play what is most common, especially at high ranks, but Sigma is the go-to for this guy. Knows how to play with a speed boost, and that is very rare.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to see off-meta choices actually working in a typically normalized Brawl comp. There's a reason why Brawl comp is normal. There's a reason why Brawl comp has a great set-in-stone kind of strategy to it, a very baseline approach. You're not seeing that. I mean, you're seeing May come out, and at this level of play for these skill levels of these players, that's pretty obvious to come through. You're gonna see the Baptiste and Lucio for that speed boost of the Immortality field. You're gonna see a McCree, but it's the difference of a Sigma to a Zarya or a Sigma to a D.Va. It's the difference between these that's kind of giving Midland that edge.
Yeah, and we are seeing NECC opting to play that Zarya again. Chatter, of course, sticking on this Sigma, as we've talked about, providing a lot of spam into this opening choke that can be a nightmare to get through, especially with Maywall being thrown up now by the defense, but it doesn't stay up for very long. And it looks like Falcon eyes Noro as he barrels in. It looked like the foot was on the gas right there. Shinobu right behind him with a headshot onto Sky. NECC taking down Executing. It seems like a very quick attack, first off for Johnson and Wales.
This one might be even quicker than Midland's approach the last time we saw in King's Row. I mean, this is an exceedingly quick first point. I mean, there's not a single player anywhere close by to contest this out. This is going to go handily in favor, and we're going to have to see second point. And I noticed, I stated last time before our, director of Overwatch's team completely ruined it for me, that we would not see the second point get taken, but Hunmo's a little bit differently. I mean, it's still pretty close, but it's much wider, and there's a lot more contention to be able to fight them in their own spawn. But this high ground has to be taken. It's still anyone's game. I think Midland have a chance, but this garage door is going to make it a bit more difficult.
And the flux comes out from Chatter to pretty much answer that Baptiste window that we're seeing on this catwalk. A very dangerous spot for the attackers to set that up, really cornering this Midland team on defense, not really giving them much area of the map to stand on. And now we see Johnson Wales barreling onto the point. They've got 5 members on it immediately. A pin comes through from Noro that's going to collect Lerman's, just lingering on that point. But still, not out of this fight as Johnson and Wales, as Shinobu finds one with the high noon, but it seems like Shiloh answering with one of their own should keep this hold alive for Midland.
Unfortunately, Robe is getting disrobed, I guess you could say. Now Feld and Alpha Count, what will be able to find and secure the kill, and NECC, who's fairly high charge, is attempting to run away with it, but cannot make it, as Nora will collect the kill with a fire strike, resetting that charge, and now you're going to have that Graviton wait a little bit longer for them to make their return, but Midland have done a good job of holding on to this high ground. It's just a matter of fact for when JWU will get those ultimates and actually find the level of impact they want from them.
And it's going to be tough to rely so much on holding down this high ground when they won't have high noon this fight. That's pretty much where the main impact comes. It's from the high noon and from pretty much Chatter anytime he exists up there. But Noro goes in for an early play, almost finds themselves in way too much trouble, instead lays down a big slam, but unfortunately there's a shield in the way. Lermans will have to drop the beat, singing their favorite song to keep alive Johnson and Wales, but Falcon will eventually fall to the May up front, and Shiloh takes down Shinobu. It seems like Midland are really starting to find some answers here, but Johnson and Wales did capture that first point incredibly quickly. There's still so much time left on the clock.
Time is definitely not on their side. It's a 7th man on the field at this point in time. They're going to have to struggle against that for a very long period of time, and wow, once Blizzard will be able to assist them so heavily to be able to pretty much one-sidedly win that last engagement. They did have to expend a few ultimates to do so, and while Noro Shatter is not ready, Falcons is, and while the Blizzard had to use from what? Robes has theirs coming up just now hitting that 100% charge, so a contested Blizzard can come through with that garage door to come as well. It comes through, they'll Gravitic Flux counter with their own garage door as well, now slamming them back down, finding 2, and Noro will find their own, but what finds Falcon in another one-sided sweep, as Midland will just continue to clean up. Only one ult was used for the opposing side of JWU. That was going to be that garage door of Sertle. She popped it, but it just didn't find that level of success.
Unfortunately it didn't, but there's just so much value when you get out 3 ultimates. Now, Midland doesn't have either support ultimate, and Chatter doesn't have that game-breaking flux that we see every time they use it. Instead, it's going to be a Shatter, a Blizzard, and a High Noon on the side of Johnson and Wales, and that could really make some waves on this second point. It's pretty much up to Noro to shut it down with a Shatter. If not, what has to bail them out with that Blizzard?
They're going to remove off the high ground, get the backline with a Shatter, but now they've got their backline taken by Falcon. They'll be stunned down as Shiloh pops the high noon. Immortality fields up, but the red one will go down first. JWU in a bit of a poor situation, but Noah will find the first kill, and it's going to be Midland who retakes the high ground, retakes the fights, and they'll continue to clean up the last few. They're just watching and waiting. NECC out for the count is what will clean it up, and Midland has looked spectacular. They can sit here for another 20 minutes, it seems like, because they are not losing anything despite the opposing side of JWU having so many ults ready for them. When was the last time we saw NECC pop this ult? Has it been ever?
Oh, they've popped it. I'm sure they've popped it. NECC's been doing a fair amount of work this game. It's just been a few unlucky fights. They ran into a Blizzard right after they ran into that Flux. But Chatter is not going to give him any daylight here. He's going to have that Flux up pretty much every other fight at maximum. Now the Graviton Surge is going to come through, comboed with the Blizzard from Robe. Noro able to find that kill onto Falcon. Immortality Field's traded out. Finally, some defending tanks fall. The beat cannot be dropped. Execute singing their favorite song off that ledge, but never actually lands that beat. And instead, it's Shinobu taking a tick all on their own, but it might stop just there as defending spawns start to come back.
Sky just single-handedly taking Shinobu and Robe off of the objective, and they will not be able to get that second pit. They do make it just short, about 45% of the way to the second pit, but now with only 48%, I guess there's an exact number up there. What a weird coinky dink. They're going to be really, really hard-pressed to defend that one now. Then they're going to have to make it there all the way here as well for their own attempts, but they've got Gravitic Flux they can completely deny. Here it comes through. They're just going to put on the objective. I stated this was a great place to do it. They'll find Robe off the top of it, but Lermans drops the beat to assist, and Falcon charges into what to take them out for the count. But Shiloh is a high noon from above, looks to punish, breaks the shield. Falcon drops a shatter, which connects to nothing at this point in time, but it's just the last two on site. Sky connects to Lerman. Shiloh looking up above to maybe punish. I don't think they needed to step away from here, but JWU does not like what they see and will take that step back.
Smart play from Midland too, not getting too aggressive. Shiloh not choosing to jump off of that high ground. Chatter probably calling that it was too dangerous down on the low ground anyway, and you see him set up here time after time. This is where they want to be. Any chance they can get to just lock down this high ground, they're going to take it. Chatter on this Sigma pick gets so much extra value up on the high ground. Blizzard will come in now. Shinobu gets taken care of quickly as 6 members of Brawl run into him. The second tick almost taken, but a foot onto the point at 61%. 6 seconds left. This is surely final fight as kills start to come through now for Midland. Looking to close out Hanamura. I mean, a 5-minute hold, Infernosis. Who saw that coming? Midland completely turned this one on its head.
Absolutely. That's insane. They made it 61.9, but 62%. And while it was unfortunate that they didn't get to stop it at that 49, they had to let it give a little bit, but they didn't get the second pit to them, so it does not eventually matter. But Midland did such a phenomenal job of holding for so long. They literally, like I said, it felt like they could hold it for another 20 minutes. They were just winning fights that they honestly shouldn't have won, like the one Sky where they were able to find Robe and Shinobu who were just sitting on point. A healer finding 2 of the most important DPS we've seen in this match. That's insane by all accounts. It's maybe because they don't have a healer, but May can heal themselves. McCree can stun. There's so much extra utility that's in the pocket, and Sky just wins those. And that really kind of gives Midland another clinical edge, another chance to go on to that. I think if Sky had been felled there and Robe and Shinobu were left, that last push would have pushed them to 100% off of it.
It probably would have certainly made it so they couldn't have gone on that funky rotation around to take out Shinobu like they did. It would have left them with a lot less time. If Sky doesn't get those kills, they certainly do get that second tick. There's no doubt about it. A massive difference made by the Baptiste of Midland. And locking down, or sorry, not locking down. They're the attacking team now. Running double hit scan, McCree Soldier. That's a very interesting look for Hanamura first, but coupled with a Reinhardt and a Sigma, you can really spread those shields out, take some crazy angles, and rain in a lot of lead onto this first point. But no.
Yeah, now we're gonna have to see whether or not Midland can pull it off on the attack. We know they were successful in King's Row first point, but can they replicate that and also have that 5-minute time bank heading into the second control point?
What switches off of the Soldier, goes on to the May. Pretty traditional pick here. Goes in now, tries to work a May wall into the mix, but can't find any zoning area to put up some construction. Instead, Robe oversteps their bounds. Probably thought the May wall was already constructed. Instead, split inside that doorway all alone, and 6 members of Midland make such easy work of that May. But now they've still got to deal with Shinobu on the Symmetra. The Shatter comes through, and it's going to stun too. Shiloh and Sky both fall. Shinobu was dealt with, as was Nico for the attacking Midland, but it's not going to be enough, not this push, to keep them alive in it.
Yeah, luckily you do still have supports alive. Falcon's in a bad situation, getting frozen out and dealt with in quick strides, but a quick support will be able to keep them alive for a moment longer. But stunned by the giant rock-wielding Chatter will be secured to that May wall to cut off that opposing spawn. Maybe what they need, because now you've stabled or staggered enough to allow the rest of your team to respawn. We may see them attempt to recontest here as we do see Lermans making their way over, but Sturtle, they're able to find their own as she'll connect, but be felled quickly over by What. And despite them attempting contest, it does not make a difference. And now we'll have to see them get staggered all the way back. A wall that attempts to cut off. They'll be taken out quickly, and now Nico will be a little bit lagging or slacking behind for this next push.
Yeah, they will have to pick them back up. Nico, though, does get that insta-spawn, pretty much can run right up to that high ground quick as can be, but still staring down a lot of ultimates and a quick push coming through from Midland, already onto the point, challenging the other Ryan, and the flux coming through. This one's going to find Falcon. He falls to half HP. Immortality Field keeps him alive, but he's frozen on the point, and he's just a statue, a sitting duck, taken down by Shiloh. Naro then cleaves through 2 kills, Robe and Shinobu, and that should be it. That is Midland locking down 2 maps in a row to swing this one back in their favor.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that is, I had stated at the beginning, I said that Midland has this kind of unbridled aggression, and that's exactly what happened. They just didn't work on control point for you know, first map was on, which is weird because every time we've seen a control point come through now for Hybrid and out for Assault, Midland has been the dominant team. They have not just won it, but they have devastated it. It has been totally one-sided. There's been nothing they can do about it. That is just disgusting to behold. And by all means, Midland has been showing everything off, and it has looked spectacular for them. So now they're going to take themselves a map lead, and they just need one more map win to guarantee themselves a victory here against JWU Blue, the team that's seated just 1 above them.
And Chatter again takes gold damage from that lobby, from the tank roll, 12,000, just over 12,000 in a 9-minute game. So not just defending their team with a second shield, doing the most damage on that team as well. Insane output from the off-tank position.
What is the line I like to say? It's a main tank difference. It's not. It's not been. It's been the off tank. It's been Shatter in most scenarios. We saw them step through and when it digest what happened on that second point. The high ground had to be taken off because Midland come in and just quickly take the point. So you see Falcon charge down to the point, and immediately Gravitic Flux yoinks him and dips him. May drops out, and they puts down the most phenomenal blizzard they had. It managed to catch Shinobu off guard, it catched Falcon off guard, and then after that, they were just able to just systematically pinprick out every single player on the opposing side. Nothing that JWU could do at that point in time. It all kind of was just said and done by the time anything could be thought of. I mean, it was just such a quick and successful attack that JWU probably didn't even realize it was happening by the time they realized they were dead in that team fight.
Yeah, and I think any team looking at this game just has to realize that Midland has this trick up their sleeve that you are definitely not going to scrim against. You are not going to scrim against Reinhardt Sigma anytime soon right now. It's going to be Ryan Zarya, Double Bubble, Reinhardt Diva Rushdown. It's not going to be Ryan Sigma. And to not be able to find answers to this combo must be so frustrating because you never see it. It shouldn't be beating you if it's not close to the meta, but Chatter is just making it work on his best hero.
Absolutely. And I think one thing you've kind of have to think about when you're facing off against the Sigma is how do you deal with that? Not just the shield, because once you get past the shield, you still have to deal with the kit that's in the hands of Sigma. How do you deal with Gravitic Flux? One of the greatest ways to do it is to have the Immortality Field on the ground, but that's not going to work for much longer. I think we're going to see more Sigmas because Immortality Field's getting a nerf. It's getting a pretty substantial one as well, dropping even lower on that health pool to make it even worse for yourselves. And it's going to be even more impactful to have such a phenomenal ultimate that can just devastate such a wide and extreme area. We should probably see a lot more Sigmas coming in, and people need to learn how to counter that effective because JWU, they're caught off guard. They don't know what to do. They're fish in a barrel, and they're getting pulled out of the barrel and then thrown right back in there with a force of 1,000 suns. I mean, they chunk them right back into that barrel.
Yeah, there's not much you can do. I would say the absolute easiest way to counter a Flux is put on a Sombra. You can hit Hack pretty reliably to cancel that. Roadhog can hook Sigma, but I don't think picking Roadhog is smart these days, at least not up against these two tanks that are pretty much blocking everything. I wouldn't imagine a hook gets through in the first place. It's a pretty difficult ultimate to deal with. You can hit it with a lot of stuns, but Sigma also has pretty elusive movement up in the sky when he's engaged in that ultimate, and Chatter proving to be a very difficult target to hit when he's using that ultimate.
I think one of the big things JWU can do to kind of answer this is going to be Falcon. They need to get Falcon to not overextend. They need to have Falcon in a position where they can contest more. The first point, when they stepped into that right side room, Falcon didn't step in initially. They just started swinging at the door, but they were just holding shield. So they were getting swung at by Noro, and Noro was charging ult, but Falcon was connecting with Fire Strikes and got ult first, dropped it and charged, but that caught the rest of their backline off guard, and they didn't have a Sigma shield to cover their backline. So where, Midland sees, hey, they've got now 5 players behind that shield that are no longer behind the shield. We can capitalize off this. Only 2 of ours were stunned. They did just that, and they punished accordingly. It's just an overextension, maybe a little bit too much aggression, and Midland just is a little bit better at that level of aggression.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing the Lucio on the side of Midland a little more engaged, at least in terms of controlling the tempo, and that might be Chatter just playing the Sigma at a level where they can adapt to a Lucio. We see NECC switching over to other picks other than the Zarya, and maybe they don't quite know the pacing with the Lucio, how to use the kits as well, but Chatter will throw a shield up right along with the rest of their team as Execute hits that gas, and this is a team that can just run you down. Noro can swing the entire time as Chatter's shield is up, and they can speed boost and spearhead into a first engagement so effectively time after time.
I think that's the scariest part. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? I mean, you've got a Reinhardt that's just swinging, don't even need a shield up. Sigma, who's naturally kind of slower, but now zooming, right? And has a shield in front, can just keep pushing it forward, let it continue to go there. I mean, that's scary.
Terrifying.
If you're not holding off angles, if you're not sitting up on high ground in 2 different directions, which, to be fair, Hanamura has that on defense. You have more than one high ground. It's difficult on the first point to, warrant going to those 2 different high grounds. It's better to just fight on the arch, but in all seriousness, that second point, there are 2 high grounds. It's difficult for one side, but you can put a Baptiste on that secondary high ground on the right side instead of the left. You can put other players. You can Mei wall up top over there. There's a lot of different places you can play. It does make you a little bit scarce or make it a little bit more difficult for you to defend it initially, but put your tankier players on that shorter high ground and then put your long-range DPS over on the opposing side. That kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for a Sigma to just put a wall up and run forward. It makes it a little bit more difficult for them to just swing, because then at least they can't shield up in one direction to block everything. They're going to have to worry about 2, and that's not good. It's just not going to work out for them.
No, I think you're right, but also splitting up the comp can be equally dangerous. These teams like to run the Mei, and you've got to be there to react if somebody gets Mei walled off. Baptiste is one of those heroes. You can jump up over a Mei wall and immortality field someone, so I get why they're playing close, but I think you're onto something where you say you got to take more advantage of the high grounds that are far away, make it so your team is doing damage from tough to reach places, be an issue for the other team in more than just one spot that is the front line. I really do think you're onto something, and if this is the comp they roll out with on attack, Infernosis, talk about opening up angles.
Yeah, this is going to be something else. I mean, they're switching off the Hanzo, which is unfortunate, and so we're going to see only the Widowmaker initially, but we're going to see Sertal. She'll opt to go back to the Baptiste and back to the Hanzo. So Robe is really just trying to figure out what is going to work, what niche will fit their desires, but if they rock some snipers, if they rock some heavy DPS long-range output, then they can be able to catch Midland off guard, and we may see them be able to just sweep out this first point, but it's going to be difficult now because you've got a Roadhog. You don't got a secondary shield, and Midland's coming in swinging immediately. They're going to get knocked off the map. Shiloh takes an L and takes a drink as Lurmans will take the L in that direction, but it's still the fight going forward. They're going to continue to try and fight it up. Noro's taking steps in the other direction. Hooked off. Another one goes down. Executed below, and they're going to be felled quickly. Midland just did not manage to win that fight whatsoever.
No, and they definitely were caught off guard. NECC on this Roadhog is not something they were expecting. Talk about a pick that's even farther out of the meta than Sigma currently. It's definitely Roadhog, and that is an answer to Flux. You can hook it fairly reliably as long as there's That's an insane hook! What was that on the Sky? What I was saying is you can hook Flux, and if he can hit that hook on the Sky, I think he'll cancel a Flux or 2 from Chatter. NECC is doing things on tank that I was not expecting to see tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen NECC attempting to do multiple things, but not the Roadhog. And Falcon will attempt to go for a shatter. It'll be blocked by Nora, but here comes a Blizzard as well. What's looking to capitalize off of this? They'll do a little bit of a slow and a stun on a Falcon, but Execute will finish that one off with some support from their teammates as Shiloh continues the reign to NECC. But we managed to not get any kills off the Blizzard. Them personally will be able to find Robe, and it's just the last few remaining players at JWU now that are forced to have to step away and run away as this Midland side is looking to maybe continue to punish.
and Midland certainly can punish. Sky has that window online. They're coming up on Shatter in 3%. You essentially have it. Shatter chooses to engage with this ultimate again. Shiloh combos that high noon perfectly with that flux time after time, and now the front line is left standing in front of this window, but there's no way they can do enough damage through it. Midland is just being so oppressive, engaging so early with these ultimates. What? Lands a nice headshot on the robe on their way out. And Midland holding strong right now on this Mimicry comp. Very traditional, definitely their style of play in the driver's seat of this game still.
I think that's kind of a big difference right now. You still, if you're Midland, you still have a May wall. You can still cut off sight lines. You don't have that option as JWU right now. You opted not to bring a secondary shield. You opted not to bring a May, and you're kind of struggling because of it. Well, I think Roadhog was a pretty okay choice. I think that it works when you're trying to counter specifically Shatter, but if you're not able to find impact, then you're not able to find anything. And when NECC dies early on from what? You don't have a Mercy to revive it. That's just even less fun for your side. Nora looking for a charge will narrowly miss going for Falcon, but that wall once again of May looking to maybe make it more difficult. Noro extending despite having low HP. A Shatter could come through a second wall. It'll be charged going forward. Actually does connect into NECC this time around, but Shatter finds two, and Noro get felled by NECC. It's looking like Midland will take it, but they also do take a bit of an L as Noro will have to charge their way back on this respawn.
I'm not gonna lie, Infernosis, I almost wish that they didn't win that first fight with NECC popping off. I think that's had them on the Roadhog for too long. Now he's got ultimate, doesn't know, or at least doesn't want to switch off of that ultimate. Just in a tough spot on tank, finally popping that whole hog. Stays alive through that Shatter as it is blocked from Falcon. The Dragon Strike comes through, but the high noon does find NECC, and Falcon frozen up like a statue yet again onto the point. No tank presence left for Johnson and Wales as they're pushed off cart yet again. They've got to find their way, and they've got 30 seconds to do it.
I've never seen a Sigma land more abilities, more hits than Shatter right now. This is actually insane by all accounts. I just watched Shatter 1v1 Sertal, and while Sertal was able to live because I guess Sigma doesn't do that much damage, they didn't miss a single thing. And Sertal was just forced to have to wait.
That's the hardest projectile to hit in Overwatch.
Yeah, it's insane. It's actually insane. They'll drop the Gravitic Flux. It'll kill instantly under Shinobu, and the drop down will deal quite a lot of damage under the opposing players. But what will secure NECC? A Shatter from Falcon finds high impact, but frozen and saved by what? And now they're asking the question, what can we do to stop what? It seems to be nothing. They're trying their best, but things do not look to be working in their favor as Noro and Shiloh just clean up a Shatter to finish things off. And this is not going well. NECC just praying to make it back in time, but body blocked by Shatter. And there's no way. Midland unstoppable at this point in time.
No, it doesn't seem like there are any answers being come up with from Johnson and the Wheels. They will get a shot at defense to keep their season alive. Midland just has to push this payload 92 meters to advance in the bracket onto the semifinals. I think they look phenomenal right now. This is the strongest I've seen them all season. If they can play in this form, they can take on anyone in this division just like last semester.
Absolutely. They look, I can't rave enough about how good they look when it comes to the just unbridled aggression. Where was this map won? Honestly, it's weird to see them on a control point map, which they have been the most spectacular on, falling so badly to the point at which they only took the objective once, twice maybe on the second round.
Yeah, they struggled to get any percentage. It was a blowout. It was an absolute blowout for Johnson and Wales.
And that's kind of been the complete opposite of what we saw last map and what we're kind of seeing now. It's a blowout for Midland. And while Midland kind of struggled initially to defend first point on Hanamura, they completely devastated on second point. And Midland would not be stopped on attacking first nor second point. So Midland, they seem to struggle a little bit on swiftness again on defense. Like teams that are really swift, they kind of struggle against that. But if they slow down the pace at all, if JWU slow down in the slightest, Midland capitalizes and makes them hurt for it.
Yeah, and that's what Sigma can do. He is a hero that can take his time, stay up on high ground as you work your way into a very long progression of a payload, and just dominate a lobby. With those orbs, they can do so much damage at a time. Landing those rocks is a very powerful burst combo, and we see him staying on that Sigma pick here. NECC onto the Zarya, but Shiloh headshots down Shinobu. Falcon falls to what? Shatter getting involved as well, and that should be it. That should be Midland moving on. There might be some chance of a recontest, but Midland just looks like an object that cannot be stopped.
An object in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. And right now, it just doesn't seem like JWU have enough of a force to stop it. They have tried consistently with 3 minutes on the clock in that first fight, going single-handedly in favor of Midland, and that is single death to their name. Doesn't necessarily bode well, and Noro has a shatter, but they'll be taken out quickly with some assistance from the May, and they'll be taken out by Falcon to be finished off, and now the fight could actually go in favor of JWU as they've lost that mainline tank, and in fact, Midland will just say, hey, we're not going to let you charge any more ultimates, we'll walk away, you'll try to use our May wall against us, but we'll squeeze through if we can. They won't be able to enough, and what Sky and Shatter will be felled because of it. This is a game of May walls at this point in time.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's kind of just Junkrat versus McCree around Maywalls. This is just a lobby where I think 10 players come into the lobby to play around Maywalls. That's really all the objective is we're just going to have fun dancing around this one cooldown on either side. We've got some ultimates coming online now. Noro, I thought he was going to shatter last fight, but he died way too fast to be able to use it, and now they're going to be taking high ground, looking to gain some presence here. Chatter definitely looking for an opportune time to pop this Flux. It comes out now.
They're going to flux the back line, but Shinobu's keeping them still alive, finding 2 with a Riptire. And meanwhile, while Chatter was able to find 1, it doesn't seem to matter. Shinobu single-handedly, or it seems like single-handedly, keeping them alive. The Riptire finding such a massive level of impact that despite Shatter just diving the back line with that Gravitic Flux, it's not enough. And they will flub themselves out, and now they're going to have to regroup for another fight.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky. I like how Midland is just playing it slow, playing it smart. They're going to go up to this high ground every single time they come out of spawn. As long as the payload is right here, this is how they're going to attack. I would even like to see him take it one step further and go on to the next high ground, just really get some angles that are behind this Johnson and Wales team. Right now, they're right over top of him. Blizzard comes in, the beat drop has to get popped to keep him alive. Immortality Field as well, keeping Cirtle alive in that corner. Falcon commits to the shatter, but they all go down to the shatter from Noro, and Shiloh finds 4.
That's it. That's it. Shiloh with support from the shatter of Noro, which, by the way, Falcon Shatter didn't hit just because Noro turned in the slightest centimeter of stance. Oh my goodness, that is actually insane to watch that. That is mentally devastating if you're JWU. Not just because you lose it out, unfortunately, going all this way, but because you lose in a fashion that's a team kill that just makes it such a stain, a mar on the ending of that map, which was otherwise pretty entertaining to watch. Just Silo, just watch them in front of them slowly just no longer be viable to swing at. And despite Shiloh getting those 4 kills, it's Noro, because Noro was the one who got the stuns.
7 stuns, 7 shatter kills for Noro. Pretty insane. Chatter with a 20-player kill streak, and Sky doing a ton of healing. 9.6k in just a 7-minute game. Pretty phenomenal performance. The exact same storyline that I saw in the Concordia, Wisconsin game, where they lose control kind of handily, and then they come back in the next 3 maps, look like a completely different team, and take the win.
Absolutely. It's kind of crazy to think about what happened. That all of it was culminating to a point at which we thought at the beginning Midland was going to get rolled. I genuinely felt that after map 1, Midland was going to meet their maker, that JWU was going to be able to find that in such a way that nothing that Midland could do could stop them. But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in the end. And despite a close King's Row, Midland will sweep the next 2 maps. Hanamura, theirs. Rialto, theirs. I mean, they completely thrashed. And I mean, there's no other words beyond that. But we'll take a short little 5-minute break between this and a player interview, and that will be all we have for tonight for the NECC Overwatch quarterfinals. But we'll catch you guys real soon after a short ad break.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the NECC. My name's Infernosis, joined here by Yelkrub, and we're about to be joined here by Chatter, who, despite not having any shatters, as a Reinhardt, had found a plethora of success when it came to playing Sigma and having those gravitic fluxes. So beyond just having the pleasure of saying gravitic flux, because it's one of the most fun words on the planet, we'll have the pleasure of actually talking to Chatter right here. So Chatter, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, glad to hear that. You just beat JWU, who was seated one above you, and it was kind of struggling at the beginning. Map 1 was not good. I think me and Yelk described it as you got stomped on or something along those lines.
It was a
It did not
blowout.
a blowout.
Big
it
old
did
blowout.
not look good for Midland. I will not lie to you and say that I genuinely thought you guys were going to get steamrolled at that point in time.
First off, your voice is fire, bro. I actually love it. First and foremost. Second off, the first map was a fluke. Like, we were literally just limit testing. Our coach was like, all right, guys, just go and limit test, see what you guys can do, see what you guys can't do, and then we'll fix it from the second, third, and going onwards. So that's what we did.
Yeah, I mean, it looked spectacular. Yelk, you got something you want to say?
Does limit test, for everyone in chat who doesn't know, just mean go nuts, go crazy on the hero you're on?
Just basically, we went comfort picks, and we're like, let's see what these guys can do. It turns out they didn't, or we didn't respect them, so we fixed it up the following maps. So just playing comfort roles and just doing whatever, yeah. Going bananas.
Yeah, I know Sigma is like your absolute comfort pick. You reached your peak on that hero, I believe, and that's what you won the championship on in the fall, playing that Reinhardt Sigma. So you guys are
Mhm.
very well versed on that comp. It's kind of coming out of nowhere in the meta, at least it seems like right now, but that is kind of the identity of your team at the same time.
Yeah, kind of the goat on the Sig. Nothing more, nothing much more you can say about it. Just an absolute tank beast carry.
Definitely the go on the Sig. Infernosis, you got anything else for chatter here?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you guys, it was a little bit closer in Kings Row, right? I mean, Kings Row was a little bit neck and neck, back and forth between the both of you. Having lead to overtime, I had full confidence at that point in time, knowing how quickly you guys took first point on your attack. So knowing that you could defend it for longer and take it basically immediately, which you did, it still was a close game because it had to go to overtime. But Hanamura and Rialto, completely different affair. You guys took a little longer to take the first point, but you literally didn't take any time at all to take the second. So my question here is, as you guys stepped onto the point to sweep forward, and you see the opposing Reinhardt dash or, charge downward off the high ground, did you target that as the gravitic flux, or was that where it was going to go anyways?
I think that's where it was gonna go anyways. When you guys were talking about Kings Row, it was actually kind of funny when they were doing their second attack. The enemy team had a little bit of fan behavior and tried to mirror the Sig. They gotta learn not to
Yeah,
step on my territory. You know what I'm saying?
I commented on him, and I told
They
Nico
gotta
that that
learn
was
their
not his
place.
grounds, man. He was player of the match in the last game I casted on Zarya. Plays that hero super well, but I was not expecting him
No, bro,
to
the
step
Sig is
up to the plate on
dog.
Sig.
So that entirely culminated to saying, ignore his question, go back to the first point. I'm the better Sigma. That was
I am the
entirely
goat on
what that came
Sig.
down to.
hmm
I respect it. You know what? This is a personality at its finest. Now, anyone else on your team, because obviously you consistently had most player damage when we
Of
saw you on
course.
Sig. What was the big contributing factor beyond you? Who is the next person you're going to hype up to say they're the GOAT? Or to take a look at them and go, sheesh, and just like hype them up to no end?
I give a big old shoot to my main tank. He's my right hand man. He's my dominator. He's my dominator duo. If I don't 1v6, he 1v6s. That's how it works. That simple.
Yeah, you and Nora were just stepping into everything that game. It seemed like you guys worked very well with the speed boost too.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
chatter. I have just one more question for you. Okay.
Go for
So
it.
you've been around since the fall in the highest level that the NECC has to offer in competition. How has it changed from fall to spring as we added a lot more teams at the top level?
Hmm. Uh, it was unprepared actually, I guess, because last NECC or whatever, or last semester, we it was kind of just a pub stomp to the grand finals. But this semester we felt, I think, a little unprepared for some of the new competition. So that's why our placing might have been looking a little funky.
So, speaking of unprepared in terms of being caught off guard by the people you have to face off against, have you taken a look at your bracket about who you have to face next?
No.
Well, I have an unfortunate statement to give you. It's in fact Boise State. You're
Oh
going to
yeah,
have
I
to
was
face
told
off
that. Never mind. Yeah, we play
against
Boise next.
Now, have you guys have had to face Boise, and you
Mhm.
guys lost 0-3.
Yeah, that was also another limit test. We were just trolling.
You lost 0-3
We did
twice.
Man.
You guys are really
did-
limit testing to the limit here, because you've lost 0-3 twice to them at this point.
Yeah, it's just a medium amount of trolling. It's okay. We'll pick it up when we see them again. They're not going to be prepared for what we have.
Is
Just
it
a
the
medium
Sigma?
amount.
Medium amount of tomfoolery.
Is that so? Is it like, were you like not wanting to bring the Sigma out here? You just got stomped enough in the first map. It's like, all right, we may have to bring out the Sigma. you
Yeah,
know?
I was waiting for playoffs to bring out the SIG. I didn't
Well,
want people to scout us before
Smart.
then.
Smart. Hide the baseball before you throw the pitch. That's a good
Of
move.
course.
I don't get baseball references. You know, I watch real
okay.
sports like Overwatch. I just upset a
Based.
lot of people.
Based.
No, I mean, you guys had a spectacular game. 4 maps. You guys take the L in the first one, but we're just gonna throw that one out the window. You guys played spectacularly enough in the next 3 that
course.
I'm just gonna completely ignore those. Much like I completely ignore my impending finals that are coming up for college. But
Don't do that. Don't do that.
probably not a
ignore
good
this.
idea. But
Bad
you're not my
advice.
mom, so
Don't ignore this.
so
Those are important.
I'll give you a little bit of moment of time to shout out people behind you, university, friends, sponsor, anything of the sort. What do you got?
I'm only gonna shout out one person, and that goes to my main tank, Noro, aka Eric, aka fucking Chad. That's all. That's the only person that deserves it. Actually, no. One other person, Avaris, our coach, also deserves it for stepping up and taking the role of leader. Those 2 people really popped off this semester.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming in here. We'll talk to you guys another time. Good luck in your match against Boise State.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so this has been the NECC. We've had a great match here between the 2 teams of JWU Blue and Midland, who was seated lower than JWU, but still beats them in a 3-1 fashion, spectacularly on Hanamura and Rialto. So, my name's Infernosis, joined here by Yelkrub, and we will see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned for what's tomorrow? Isn't it, what is it, Hearthstone? Right? Something along those lines? Hearthstone tomorrow, so stay tuned for that one.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.